Hello all, welcome to our new video. Today I am discussing about theories of international trade. Today trade is the most important one in our economy. So all the economies are open. I think borders are there, but trades across the borders. That means so I think theories of international trade here we have to discuss three theories. That means evolution, first part 2, then now modern trade. Okay, then let's discuss about what are the important three phases of trade theories. First one, pre-classical school, that is we known as mercantilism. Okay, then that means that was before classical version. Then second one is classical version. There are two theories. First one, absolute advantage theory. Then second one, comparative advantage theory. Then third one is modern version, that is known as HO theory. That is HO means Heckscher-Ohlin theory. Okay, let's discuss about mercantilist approach to trade in detail. We can see that was prevailed in Europe. Then it was first coined by our father of economics, Adam Smith. Okay, then it was prevailed in Britain, France and Netherlands during 16th to 18th century. Then that was a Bullianism. That means Bullianism means the trade or the prosperity of nation we are measured on the basis of some precious metals. That means commonly we are taking that as gold. Okay, their slogan was gold, more gold. They are measured their welfare and their growth and development on the basis of gold. Okay, they're focused on wealth accumulation on the basis of wealth accumulation through trade rather than welfare. They gave more importance to accumulation of wealth, and welfare is second one. Okay, then adoption of trade protective measures. That means there are so many trade barriers are there, like tariff and non-tariff measures. That means they are restricted import and they are more promoted export. Okay, that means through export they can accumulate their wealth. Import is a leakage, you know. Then next one, the first classical theory of absolute advantage. It was introduced by Adam Smith. He published a famous work. You know that our father of economics, Adam Smith, is well-known book, Wealth of Nations. He published that in 1776. Okay, Wealth of Nation, and he attacked with this publication of this book the mercantilist views on international trade. He argued that Wealth of Nation is dependent on goods and services that are available to our country, but not on the basis of gold reserve. Okay, it was first opposite of the mercantilism. Next, its important assumptions. There are some assumptions are there. Without these assumptions, this theory is incomplete. Okay, first one, that is 2 into 1 model. That means there are two countries and there is two goods and one factor. Okay, two countries, two goods and one factor. That one factor is labor. Okay, we are assuming that constant return scale. Then next assumption is labor is perfectly mobile within the country but perfectly immobile in between the country. Okay, then next one is labor is homogeneous. Then next, free trade. Then next one is one country has absolute advantage in one commodity and another country is absolute advantage in another commodity. So that was a system of barter. Okay, That was like barter. Barter means one commodity giving and another commodity buying. Okay. Then next assumption was there is no transportation cost. That means zero transportation cost. Okay. These are the important assumptions of theory of absolute advantage. Then we can see in detail what was the absolute advantage. That is ability of a nation produce greater quantity of a good or service than competitors using same resources. Okay, that means according to Adam Smith, a country should specialize in the production of a commodity. That commodity they have absolute advantage. That commodity they will specialize and they will export that. And those commodity they have disadvantage in production and distribution, they will import that commodity from another country. Then through this way the trade is continuing. Okay, you can see here there are two countries are there, India and Cuba, and they are producing two commodities, sugar and tea. You can see here India producing 5 units of sugar, and same time we are producing 10 units of tea. Okay, then in the case of Cuba, sugar they are producing 10 units of sugar, and at the same time they are producing 5 units of tea. Here we can see a clear absolute advantage in both commodities for each countries. Okay, in the case of India have absolute advantage in producing tea, and in the case of Cuba they have absolute advantage in production of sugar. Okay, then absolutely we can say that the theory saying that India will specialize and produce the tea, and India will export the tea. Okay, then another part, that is Cuba. Cuba will produce sugars, and they will specialize in that, and they will export the sugars. Okay, then the trade will be simultaneous. Okay, next classical theory of comparative advantage. It was introduced by David Ricardo. There will also some assumptions are there. Then it was also 2 into 2 into 1 model. That means 2 country, 2 commodity, and 1 factor. 1 factor is labor. Then this also constant return scale. Then labor is perfectly mobile within the country and perfectly immobile between the country. Then labor is homogeneous and free trade are there. Then one country has absolute advantage in both commodity, and the second country has disadvantage in both commodity. That means one country have advantage in both commodity and another country have disadvantage in both commodities. That means there is no absolute advantage in one commodity in one nation. Okay. Then next assumption is a system of barter prevails there. That means one commodity giving and one commodity buying. Then there is zero transportation cost. Then that means no transportation cost. Then let's explain the theory according to Ricardo. Even if there is no absolute advantage in the production of both commodities in one nation, they can also do mutually beneficial trade. Then a country should specialize in the production and export of those commodities in which there is a comparative advantage. Okay, you should care this one. They will specialize in the there is a comparative advantage in production of one commodity. Okay, that means there is no absolute advantage here, only comparative advantage. Okay, you can see here there is 2 countries and 2 commodities. 2 country, India and Burma. 2 commodities, wheat and tea. Okay, India producing 10 units of wheat, and at the same time we are producing 10 units of tea also. In the case of Burma, they are only producing wheat 4 units and tea 5 units. Here we can see that in the case of India, we have absolute advantage in 2 commodities. In the case of Burma, there is absolute disadvantage in both commodities. Then what we'll do? Here we can see that in the case of wheat, there is 4 units. In the case of tea, 5 units. Here the trade possible with absolute advantage, on the basis of absolute advantage. Okay, that means Burma will concentrate on the production of tea, and they will specialize in the tea, and they will export tea. Then at the same time, India will specialize in the case in the production of wheat and specialize in the wheat, and India will export wheat. Okay, that is the comparative advantage. Okay, then next theory, it is the modern theory. Modern theory means there was some questions are there. How it is, what is the reason behind the comparative advantage? So HO theory was the answer for it. Okay, it was the modern theory of international trade, and it is also known as factor endowment theory, and it is also known as factor proportion theory. Okay, it was developed by Swedish economist Heli Ekscher and Bertil Ohlin. So it is known as Ekscher-Ohlin theory, that is HO theory. Okay, then there is also some assumptions are there, some differences here. 2 into 2 into 2 model. Okay, that is 2 countries, 2 commodities, and 2 factors are there. In the previous theories, we see that there is only one factor, that was labor. Here it is 2 into 2 into 2 model. So here 2 factors are there, labor and capital. Okay, then next assumption is there is perfect competition in both commodities and factor market. 2 market are there, commodity market and factor market. In 2 market there is prevails perfect competition. Okay, then all production function are homogeneous of the first degree. Then factors are freely mobile within country but immobile between countries. Then next, 2 countries are different factor supply. Each countries have different supply of factors. Then 2 commodities are different in factor intensity also. Okay, supply is different and intensity also different. Intensity means the availability of factors. Okay, then no transportation cost also there is no transportation cost. Then HO theorem states that if a nation is rich in capital, that nation will specialize in the capital intensive commodity, and they will export that capital intensive commodity. Then if a nation rich in labor, the factor of labor, the country will specialize in the labor intensive product, and they will specialize in that, and they will export that product. Okay, it was the reason for the absolute or comparative advantage. How will be the advantage become? What is the reason behind the advantage of it is absolute or comparative? What is the reason for the advantage? It was the reason that Ekscher-Ohlin says that one country will may be the factor endowment country, and another country may be the capital endowment country. So they will specialize those which in what commodity they are endowed with plenty of factors. They will specialize in the production of capital intensive or labor intensive. Okay, then HO gave a brief explanation for international trade. What is the reason for the international trade? And after some years, after more years, there was a test done by Vasily Leontief. Okay, so in that test, that was empirical test. They take some data from USA, and you know that USA was the most capital abundant country, and they take some data from many years, and they compared with other nations. So they find out that America is a capital abundant nation, but they are exporting and they are specializing in labor intensive commodities. So here some Ekscher and Ohlin find out something that is factor endowed, which America really have to export capital intensive commodity, but they are exporting labor intensive commodity. So it is known as Leontief paradox. There is a paradox. Okay, HO says one thing and Leontief find out another thing. So it is known as Leontief paradox. Okay, I think the class is very favorable for you, and you can understand me. I am concluding this session. Thank you all. Thank you very much.